Well, hello, welcome to Meettina. Hi, everyone. How's everyone's doing? I just want to say a quick thank you for those who have followed my channel. If you have subscribed, like, and share my videos, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And for those who are very new to my channel, if this is your first time, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and also share my video. Today is going to be a fascinating topic for me because I have Dr. Raymond Keller here to talk about, oh God, a lot of things about UFO, about near-death experiences, and about accessing the Akashic record at the what do you call it, the God's layer, the level, the true Akashic record. So let's welcome Dr. Raymond. How are you doing, Dr. Raymond?
Oh, fine. Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for bringing me on the program, and also to our friend Rob Potter at The Promise Revealed for introducing me to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your knowledge. I met you at the UFO conference and I found your speech to be quite amazing, intriguing, especially with the UFO and also your personal real experience with near-death experience and your real experience in accessing Akashic record. So I would like you to share this with us. You can go into whichever topic you want to go first, but also before we record this session, you mentioned about how you got started and you were on National Enquirer since in the 60s, which I was like, wow. So I would like you to share that.
Oh, yes. Well, I was always interested. Perhaps it was recognition at a certain soul level that I had an extraterrestrial connection. When I was just out of kindergarten or first grade, we visited my aunt in California, and she gave me a book about the solar system. And it had a lot of drawings and so forth in there. And one of the sections was talking about life on other planets and the search for life. And I always began to wonder if that existed and if I had some kind of connection to it. But as it turned out, I went on a scout camp out in 1967, and we went down to the Cuyahoga Parks down in Walton Hills. And on the way back, we saw a flying saucer over a railroad trestle, hovering over a railroad trestle. And after we got back, my friends and I joined the Cleveland Ufology Project and helped Earl Neff publish a newsletter. And then they gave us some money to publish our own flying saucer newsletter. And the word of it, our encounter and the newsletter and everything, got out to the National Enquirer. They send a reporter to Bedford, Ohio, and they interviewed us. That's me in the upper corner there, holding a picture of the
Wow.
and then that's myself and a friend, Ellen Weston. We're holding up copies of the Flying Saucer Report, the magazine that we published with the help of Earl Neff and the Cleveland Ufology Project.
Wow. How old were you back then? You look so young. I mean,
oh,
awesome.
Yeah, I was a teenager. I just got in my first year of high school, Bedford Senior High School.
My God, that's amazing. At that age, you already been contacted by a UFO and did this research and did this work. I mean, way back then, I mean, in the 60s, most people weren't open in this.
Oh yes, and well, people, they made fun of me in high school, thinking I was kind of nerdy to be this space nut. And, they called me my favorite Martian, which was after a popular TV show at the time, starring Ray Walston as the Martian, Bixby as his reporter friend. And then later on, when I kind of gained a little bit of notoriety for publishing this Flying Saucer magazine, people just started calling me Cosmic Ray. And so the name stuck ever since.
Beautiful name. I like it anyway.
So people always call me Cos or Cosmic Ray, and I don't mind.
That's such a nice name anyway, because I always wondering like why you were called Cosmic Ray. So now I got it. Awesome.
Well,
So-
it was really a great opportunity for me to exchange publications with all of the prominent ufologists around the world. UFO Research Queensland and Martin Gottschall there. He was the one who sponsored George Adamski on his trip to Australia, and Gray Barker in West Virginia. Some other contactees like Dominic Lucchesi in New Jersey, and over in England with the British UFO Research.
wow.
And in Carl Veit in UFO Nachrichten in Germany, and Gabriel Green, Amalgamated Flying Saucer Clubs of America. So I got to meet all these people and to really gain a lot of knowledge about what's really going on with our extraterrestrial friends and neighbors.
So tell us what's like, why are they here? Why you're the one that's got contacted by them? And have you met them like physically in person? And you still continue?
Yes, I've met them physically on many occasions, sometimes without even being aware of it. You know that it says in the Bible, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 2, that we should always be kind to one another, for know ye not that ye entertain angels unawares. And I firmly believe that that angels and aliens are one and the same thing. And
I got.
and
I agree.
I do believe that that I'm not the only one. I certainly don't claim to be the only one. I want to help people to find and understand their own starseed connections. There was a recent poll taken last year after the big UFO revelations on the 25th of June in the congressional hearings. And then after also, starting on December 20th of 2019, when President Trump signed into existence the United States Space Force, all this attention on UFOs sparked a survey, national survey. And not only had 50 million Americans claim to have seen UFOs, but another 15 million said that they've had contact with the extraterrestrials at one level or another.
Wow, that's profound. So as time gone by through years, there's more and more people are opening up and have experienced that themselves.
Oh yes, Tina, this is so. And the revelations and disclosure isn't going to come from any decree. It's going to come from the people and their own experiences from the ground level up. Now, this revelations and disclosure back on the 16th of January of 1946, when they closed, or 1949, when they closed Project Sign, which was a precursor along with Project Grudge to the formation of Project Blue Book, which didn't come till 1952 to investigate flying saucers. And the government decreed that there's a definite technology behind the appearance of these craft, but we're not going to say they're extraterrestrial. And that's the same thing that was stated with the recent Department of the Navy investigation into the so-called Tic Tac sightings. They said there's a definite technology here, but we're not willing to say that it's extraterrestrials. So even after 70 years, it's the same old story. So I don't expect that we're going to get any big revelations from the government, although there's been a lot of hinting around this because you know that the former defense minister in Canada during the Pearson administration in the early 1960s, Paul Hellyer, has publicly saying that he knows about the existence of a space federation, intergalactic federation of planets, and that high-level people on Earth are in touch with them, and that there's at least 80 different species of extraterrestrials walking around the Earth right now. And then just recently, last year, an Israeli space expert, the director of space investigations and operations in Israel, made the statement that he knew that President Trump was aware of this existence of this confederation, and that that he was also aware that there are aliens living and working among us, and they look just like we do.
Wow. I believe every government around the world are aware of this, right, Ray? I mean, it's not just Mr. Trump. I'm sure all the ex-presidents, even current president, and all around the world, they're all aware of this.
Oh, yes. And many other countries have UFO investigation units. In France, they have GEPAN. In Russia, they have investigations. In Chile, Brazil, the European, other countries in the European Union. Japan, even the late prime minister, the one who was assassinated recently, his wife even wrote books and made public speeches about her trip to Venus.
No way, really?
Oh, yes. In fact, I wrote about that in my third book in the Venus series. Cosmic Ray's Excellent Venus Adventure. It's documented in this one.
Yeah. So guys, Dr. Cosmic Ray, he also has written many books. So I'm going to put the link underneath the description so you can, grab his books. How many books you have written out so far, Ray?
I have eight, well, 7. There's the most recent one will be published in Europe. It's going to be published by Anya Schaefer's Discus Publishing. She is the secretary to Omnek Onek, my friend who's the ambassador from Venus.
Oh, wow. This is amazing. Well, guys, I'm going to put his book links. You can grab his book if you've got more interest and you want to find out more about his stories and a lot of stuff about, star seeds. You can go there and grab his books. All right. So anyway, let's get back into, you said your purpose and your journey is trying to help people find their own star seed. Is that what it is? Where they come from?
Oh, yes. And I'm just a cosmic postman, along with some others like yourself. You're the cosmic delivery lady for messages from our celestial friends and people from the other side with important messages for us, and Rob Potter and others. And basically the message of the Venusians and the message that I'm delivering is that we shouldn't be afraid to examine knowledge wherever it comes from. Helena Blavatsky, the co-founder of the Theosophical Society, she had stated that Venus is the most mysterious and occult of all worlds. And so when we talk about the occult, it's not a bad thing per se, because occult comes from the Latin occultare, which it means to just remain hidden. Hidden knowledge that we have to seek out and find it. It's gnosis. And
I like that meaning, the hidden. Yeah, it sounds good. Yes.
Yes. So this is seeking knowledge wherever we find it in all avenues of research, comparative religion, science, all the sciences, biology, astronomy, exobiology, whatever area that we're investigating, because there's no knowledge higher than truth.
Yep. Amen. Mhm.
And then the other thing that we're looking at is to accept the universality of humankind, that we're all here for a purpose, and we're all here to find our purpose. Mark Twain said there's two important days in everybody's life: the day that they're born, and secondly, the day we find out exactly why we're here.
So tell us, why are we here? This has been a question. I think pretty much almost every human in this world asked that question. I did ask that question when I was little. So why are we here?
Well, we are here as spiritual beings. We're here to learn and to progress and help our fellow beings to progress. This body that we have is our spacesuit that we wear to interact and to survive in this planetary environment for the conditions on this planet. And when we learned all that we have to learn here, we'll go on to higher spheres of existence, and then we'll get new bodies that are appropriate for conditions on those other planets.
So from what I heard, that's why there is reincarnation. I mean, we have to keep coming back and keep learning. Is that what we're supposed to do? And when is it going to end? Well, and
from most people, to my understanding, is that we usually go through 12 or 13 cycles on any particular world before we go on to another one.
Okay.
These cycles of reincarnation.
All right. So from this Earth incarnation, where will we go next? Ray, once we finish here, do we go back to our star system? And also the thing is, there's a lot of star seed who's following this channel as well. They want to know where they come from. How would one know? Like, you seem to have a connection with Venusian.
Oh, and yes.
Go ahead.
Well, in my first book, Venus Rising: A Concise History of the Second Planet, on page 252, I point out 14 different characteristics of star seeds on Earth. So you could go through this list, and if you identify with most of them, the chances are very good that you are a star seed, and you'll have an indication of where you're going in the next incarnation. Because I do believe that everybody who is involved with this kind of paranormal research and work and UFOs and so forth, they're in their last incarnation, preparatory to transition to a higher sphere of existence.
Wow. So do you feel that every single human on this earth is a star seed, or there's something else?
Oh yes, we're evolving. We began as sparks of light, and from the Father of Lights. Mm-hmm. It's our duty to go through these experiences from the casual worlds down through the astral worlds to the present physical worlds, so that we could gain this experience to go to other worlds and help others along, that we might all return to that sea of cosmic consciousness. So you can kind of look at it like we're each an individual raindrop, and that our ultimate destination is to return to the vast ocean from which we came, at which time we'll be united with the more cosmic or Christ consciousness. This is page 252 in Venus Rising. So I look at various characteristics of physical, emotional, extraterrestrial experiences, out-of-body experiences, metaphysical experiences, and psychic development. So I ask you a series of questions out of each of these categories. And then as you answer them and you find an affinity with some other realm or a sphere of existence, then you're on your way to identifying your celestial path. And
Now, is it possible that you can be have that affinity with more than one star system? Let's say Palladians, Sirius, or Venusian, or even all?
definitely. Now, I have to tell you about the planet Venus. Is one of 601 planets in an intergalactic confederation covering 51 solar systems.
Wow.
There are many other alliances and federations and confederations of planets out there. You won't believe just how expansive and infinite this universe is. Even in the Gospel of Judas that was recently discovered and published in the National Geographic, Jesus told the disciples that he went to a planet called Barbelo at the rim of the universe, and he looked out over this vast sea of stars, and he said that it was populated with so many concourses of angels, an infinite concourse of angels, that he didn't even know the end of it.
Wow, that's huge. Now you speak of Jesus and his disciples. Do you feel that Jesus and his disciples, or even every religion in the world, their puppets, they were ETs?
Oh,
Or
yeah, I believe that many of them were, that they incarnated onto the earth plane. For example, in Revelations chapter 22, verse 16, Jesus himself identifies with the bright and morning star, which of course is Venus.
Isn't that fascinating? The more we dig deeper into it, because a lot of it's saying in Bibles or even in other religions, and the characters and description really fit extraterrestrials.
Oh yes, and when we talk about ETs, I identify them with the angelic realms, much as Dr. Frank E. Stranges did when Reverend Stranges, when he was on the earth. And he, of course, he's the one who brought us the first information about Valiant Thor, and we have the photographs of Valiant Thor and his crew at the Highbridge Farm in New Jersey back in 1958. So
Wow.
all this is very real.
Amazing, amazing. Now, I wanted to ask you, because there's so much to talk about ufology and all this spaceship and your personal experience with that. I remember you share your experience with your near-death experience and also your experience accessing the Akashic records. To me, it's quite fascinating at all. And for the reason I want to ask is because for the first time in life, a couple of years ago, I got COVID pneumonia. I was in a hospital, I almost died. And for the very first time, Ray, I found out that I was afraid of death. I never thought I would be. So when I listened to what you talk at the conference, I discovered that this is one of the fear I had, which I didn't realize that until I had personal experience of being close to death. And so when you mentioned that, my ear just perked up. And I'm sure a lot of people in this world also have that fear as well. And
Yes, Tina. This is a big fear, and even I had that back in 2015. Yeah, I had this as you could see, I had
wow.
complete quadruple bypass surgery. I had open heart surgery at the Veterans Hospital in Pittsburgh, and they actually had to take my heart out of my body for a period of 8.5 hours, work on it. And so I was just hooked up to an artificial lung and heart machine to keep me going. while they did that. I didn't know if I would make it or not, but that's when I had a near-death experience that confirmed to me that the proof that our soul goes on afterwards, and we don't have anything to fear. I was taken up to a ring of light high above the earth, and I couldn't see anything but stars above me and stars below me, and there was just this ring of light. And I was holding on to it for dear life because I didn't know where I was except somewhere above the earth. And I thought I was going to just fall and float into space. And then I looked, every time I turned to one side or the other, I saw myself in a prior incarnation, but as a teenager and wearing different types of clothing from different periods of time, from 13 different periods of time. And my oversoul spoke to me and offered me the chance to go back with him to Venus or to return to Earth and finish writing the Venus Rising series of books, which I did because I realized that my whole life was being prepared to do just what I was doing, and I didn't want to have to come back. And so I said, I'm going to go back to Earth and do what I came here to do, come hell or high. I'm going to take care of this business once and for all.
You didn't want to go back. You didn't want to come back and reincarnate again. Is that what it is? Come on, Ray. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, I collected a lot of material over my lifetime, over almost 60 years of material from all the leading ufologists of the world, photographs and articles and notes and so forth. And I have them in a temperature-controlled storage facility here in West Virginia, the beautiful mountains of West Virginia. And so my purpose on Earth is to organize this material and to put it out there so that it won't be lost, so that everybody will know about the existence of life in the universe and prepare them for our ultimate place in it, with the Earth as a member of an intergalactic confederation of planets.
Wow. So now with that experience, you continue on into accessing Akashic record, correct?
Oh yes. Now the Akashic records are essentially a library, and every solar system has a central place of archive. This information is stored in crystals, and they're located in ice caves below the surface of the seventh planet, which is Uranus. And we can access these through various ways, including mental telepathy or even by soul travel. And we have permission to access these archives for our own past lives. But if we want to look at those of others, the archives pertaining to other souls and other incarnations of other individuals, we have to get their permission.
What was it like for you, for your experience in the Akashic record, Ray? Because a lot of people are also, especially right now, I kept hearing a lot about Akashic, accessing Akashic. In this Akashic also has all the records of everything, every universe, every galaxy, beyond anything you can imagine. This is like probably beyond. Yeah.
Yes, and all these different libraries in other solar systems even are all connected, and all this information can be shared instantaneously at the speed of thought, faster than the speed of light. So
Mm.
you go to these caves with all these crystals, and you're in your light body. So you're disembodied. You're essentially just a spark of light, a glittering spark of light, like a firefly, just a just a glowing concentration of consciousness. And you could pass into these in and out of these crystals, and you could visit other realms in a sense of complete timelessness. And when we pass out of this existence, we go into this cave, into these crystals, and we could be there for hundreds of years and not even realize it, and it would just seem like a few minutes.
Wow.
It's the weirdest thing, but that's where we go between our incarnations here on the earth plane.
So since that experience, are you able to continue going back to Akashic record?
Yes, I could go back there, and then on other planets there are certain locations where it's easy to access through your consciousness to channel and focus. There are temples of history on other planets, such as on Venus, and you could visit these. They have temples for everything: temples of science, temples of history, temples of spiritual wisdom, and you could do these many things on other planets, including on the Earth. There are various places in the Himalayas. There, like the mystical city of Shambhala, it exists at a higher vibratory rate, and it's actually on our planet, just as Telos, another city. It's underneath Mount Shasta. It's an ancient Lemurian city that was also built with the help of the Venusians. And
Oh, wow.
there are the Temple of the Seven Rays in the Andes Mountains in Upper Peru and Bolivia, and these have been accessed by many great researchers into the paranormal and spiritual realms, like Dr. George Hunt Williamson and Sister Thedra from Mount Shasta. They actually went into the Temple of the Seven Rays and were able to access Akashic records with the help of ascended masters and Venusians and avatars and teachers from other planets.
Oh, wow. That's this is like amazing information to listen to. Now, I know there's a star seed that actually want to find out where they're from. Is it important for them to find out where they're from, Ray? And what should they do once they find out which star system they're from? Is there purpose to do that, to discover which star
Yes.
seed?
And this usually happens, Tina, in their last incarnation. So all the people that are interested in paranormal phenomena, UFOs, and that, this is no coincidence. This is their last incarnation, and so this is the time for them to find out, preparatory to making the transition. You see, but the other incarnations, they had other important lessons to learn in their spiritual path and their development and their advancement. So all the goodies are waiting in the last incarnation.
That's good to hear. All the goodies, all the best gift of all, right?
The
Best
best
reward.
Right, Tina, the best for last.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, that's why it's funny when you talk about last incarnation, because that's the word that I kept hearing too from a different channeler about last incarnation right now. So that's only for certain individual, right? It's not for the whole, every human in the world.
Right.
Because
And there are some that are so advanced,
yeah,
Tina, that they're actually lifted bodily off of this planet. And then in my books, I talk about some of those people, like like Annalise Guerin, who was taken bodily off of Mount Shasta. She was born on the seventh month,
Wow.
seventh day of on the seventh hour in the year of 1898, and in American Falls, Idaho. And she went on to write 9 different books about spirituality, about the process of translation, which she said was getting into heaven via the back door, where you don't die physically, but you're actually transformed in the twinkling of an eye and taken bodily to another planet, where you're taught at the feet of great teachers, and then come back to Earth to materialize and appear to people and as an angel, and to help them on their path. So
Wow.
I had the opportunity with our UFO group, OSIRIS, Outer Space International Research and Investigation Society. This was in 1987. In the late summer, we were up on Mount Shasta after the Great Harmonic Convergence that took place that year. And Lady Ankara was the name of Annalise Guerin, and she appeared to us in a column of light, just coming down as a sparkling light and materializing right in front of us. She had on a white jumpsuit with gold braid all around it, and she told us not to fear, because we were standing in an interdimensional vortex, a portal that connected to a planet in a bilocation signal to a planet on the Sirius star system, a planet called Balaton, which is about 3 times the size of the Earth. There was a Venusian colony there, and it was a communal type matriarchal society. The people lived in these big log houses, extended log houses, and they communed with the indigenous inhabitants of the planet, which were these mantids, these large mantids from 5 to 15 feet long, and they opened and closed all the stargates. And she explained all about it to us, and gave us a translation, an accurate translation of an ancient Egyptian papyrus that I put in this book.
Which one? Which book is that?
This is Venus Rising, the first in the series. Venus Rising,
Wow.
Concise History of the Second Planet. It's over 300 pages, and it's all beautifully illustrated throughout, and there's over 100 illustrations in it. It's just awesome. Some of them in color. This is our friend Omnek Onek, the ambassador from Venus, and I work closely with her team in Europe. And the translator and publisher of her books, Anya Schaefer, just did a translation of Venus Rising in the German language, and it's already sold out. And
Wow.
so that they already have to go into a second edition. So I'm very excited about all this.
So how can we access that book also beside yours?
The best way is just to go on Amazon, and in the bar type Keller Venus, and all 7 books should pop up. Or even if only one does, at the bottom of the page, it'll list the books by Raymond Keller, and you could just click on those.
So all your books are on Amazon?
Yes, they're all on. They're all.
Cool. Well, I'm going to get all the links for you guys, so it's going to be easy. You just click it, go there, and purchase it, which I'm going to after this. I was there, but it's just like so much going on, fun stuff, and I didn't get to. I told myself I'm going to get your book, and I totally forgot. And when I left, I'm like, oh God, how did I forget? There's a couple of things I forgot there because we have to go from one room to the next room, in the different location. That's why, you know.
Oh, yes. And then they had a little problem at the Masonic Hall because it got flooded. So
On the first day, right?
right, everything was in a little bit of a flux over there, and so they had
Yeah.
a lot of shuffling to do at the last minute. Um, and well, it's either raining and there, or it's super dry, or there's forest fires somewhere in California. So
It's absolutely just great energy over there, though, I think. I really
yes,
love it. Mhm.
yes,
It-
great energy. And fortunately for the community of Mount Shasta has always managed to avoid it. Although, the book, the city Paradise, California, that got burnt down with the largest forest fire and everything. This book was published. This book was published 2 years before the Paradise fire, and there's a whole chapter in here about the history of UFOs and the very first UFO club in the United States that was in Paradise, California. So
wow.
I went out there with Chrisana Duran of a Native American, and we gathered all the information about the first UFO club, one of the understanding units formed by Daniel Fry, an early contactee. And he was also working in the Department of Defense, and all about Hal and Dixie Garrett, directors of the club, and the sky watches at their home, and inviting people who had been in contact with Venusians to come and speak at Paradise. And the funny thing is that all of that material would have been lost forever if we hadn't gone out there and researched all of that and put it in this book.
Wow. Wow. And that's what your purpose, to keep it alive.
Right.
Right, right.
Save this information and pass it on.
It's just a shame that a lot of stuff in the past has been lost, the lost knowledge, and it's great to have someone like you or many different star seeds to, right now collecting and saving all this information for a younger generation, or just right now for the whole world to really being exposed to this knowledge, and understanding. And you're right about that. A lot more people are open to your UFO arena, and also they all know that they're starseed. They all want to find out where they're from and who they are, and they all want to find out what their purpose are. So I want to ask you about this. Has been questioned that I have seen, in on YouTube, different YouTubers. 144,000 starseeds, original starseeds. Are they still here? What are they? Because it seems like there are more than 144,000 starseed right now.
Oh, yes. Well, the 144,000 that are mentioned originally in the Bible, many of the personages and groups mentioned in the Bible are in multiples of 12. So 12 by 12 is 144. So 144,000 is also a multiple of 12. And these are the presiding elders in our solar system. By elders, I mean not just men, but also women. These are beings who have been translated, or these are exalted beings that live in a much lighter density. They're teachers and avatars whose mission it is to guide and direct the angel force here on the earth. So it's not that there's 144,000 and that's it. And the Bible also talks about other groups like the Council of the 70 and so forth that were that were on the earth during the time of Jesus or immediately after, they were appointed by Jesus and the original 12 apostles to organize the church in the various countries.
Mm.
When we
So,
speak about a church, Tina,
yeah.
it comes from the word ecclesia, which just means the congregation or an assembly of people. Like today,
Mhm.
we call them the peeps, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
So
the 12
that was Jesus' peeps, right? That was
got you.
his people at the uh, at the time. So wherever two or more are gathered in his name, and they're talking about spiritual matters, and they're of one mind on spiritual concerns and so forth. That's the church. It's not a building or some kind of organization. That's what Annalise Guerin was teaching in all of her books, which I highly recommend.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. The 12 you talk about, I would assume that's 12 star system, correct? The 12 tribes, 12 star system.
Oh, yes. And of course, there are actually 12 planets in our solar system. A lot of people don't realize that. There are
I know. That's why I went, huh? Wait, I thought there's less than that. Well,
we know about 9 of them, and of course, I don't care what the Astronomical Union says. Pluto is a planet because
yeah.
number one, it has an atmosphere, and it even has 5 moons that revolve around it. So if it's not a planet, I don't know what it is.
Tell me about Pluto because Ray, Pluto seems to be a significant planet right now, I'm talking about in astrology, because I drop into some astrology as well. And it seemed to be, this is what's going on with the Uranus, Jupiter, and all these large planets.
Oh yes. Well, I do believe that the planets exercise force over us to a certain degree. We know that, for example, the moon, the tidal forces of the moon affect human and animal behavior, but so do all of the other celestial bodies to a certain degree. They all interact with the orbit of the Earth and affect the destiny of our world. Just for an example, Jupiter being a giant planet, it attracts meteors and rogue asteroids into its immense gravitational orbit, where they burn up in the atmosphere of Jupiter. So these are all of the planets, these are all of the objects that are coming in from the Kuiper belt, from the edge of the solar system, and then from the asteroid belt. So instead of gravitating toward the Earth, they go to the massive gravitational pull of Jupiter, where they burn up in the atmosphere. So only rarely does one of any significant size ever hit the Earth. Like the last one was 65 million years ago during the Jurassic Age, when it put an end to the dinosaurs. So this is all part of a divine creation. This is why we're on this beautiful blue planet. We're protected from these things by design. It's not any coincidence that where we are in the solar system.
So, okay, you mentioned about the dinosaur time. So I'm also I'm very much into history, and can you tell us, because I have one of the comments that posted here before, to find out the order of what come first. Does a dinosaur come first, and then ancient Egyptian time, Lemurians, Atlantis, or even the Dark Ages? What come first in order up until today, leading up to this time of our civilization?
Well, there's been life on the Earth probably going back about 3 billion years after the Earth had cooled, and there were the the moon was captured in orbit, there were tides and then tidal pools, life emerged and so forth. That was about 3 billion years ago. And then also Venus was covered with oceans as well. Life had emerged there much quicker than it did on Earth. But by 65 million years, that was the ago. That was the age of the dinosaurs, and the mammals were just like little possums and that were underground, and moles and so forth. So the dinosaurs literally ruled the earth, the reptiles, and this would have been a reptile planet, if the evolution of reptiles, if that meteor didn't strike the earth. So that allowed the mammals to come forth, and to take over in the evolutionary chain on the planet. So thank God for that.
Right? Yes. Well, I guess it's meant to be, because otherwise the ET civilization would have stopped it already. But
Right,
right?
exactly.
So following the dinosaur, what's next coming to our civilization?
Well, for life as Homo sapiens, these emerged from the Olduvai Gorge about 2.5 million years ago, and or even maybe 3.5 if you consider Australopithecus down in South Africa, which was a precursor to Homo sapiens. But the Homo sapiens were most pronounced with when the Leakeys discovered Lucy. That was a young woman, maybe about 13 years old, that got caught in a flood, and so her bones and everything were preserved. And what's interesting is that her DNA, the mitochondrial DNA, is the same as ours. So we know that a human life emerged from the African continent, and then it spread over the rest of the world.
Wow. So when did Atlantis or Lemuria or even ancient Egyptian time started?
Yes, these were about 14,000 years ago. And at first there was a giant continent called Mu that existed in the South Pacific. Now, I have three children. They're from the Tonga Islands. And so that was once part of Mu. When Mu broke up, then there was a bunch of islands in the South Pacific, the Polynesian Islands and the Great Triangle, from Tahiti up to Hawaii, and then southeast to Easter Island, Pitcairn Island, and so forth, in what they call the Polynesian Triangle. So that was where Mu was located. Then Atlantis was the other great superpower, and it was colonized. There were rogue elements from other planets, from Venus and the Pleiades and other planets, that were living among the Atlanteans and the Pleiadians, and the other extraterrestrials were living with the Atlanteans and the residents of Mu and Lemuria. So the Atlantis was beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the gateway, the Rock of Gibraltar, the gateway to the Mediterranean, in the Atlantic Ocean.
Wow.
Just like with Mu, some Atlanteans escaped, and they made it to other parts of the known world, in the ancient Americas, and also in Egypt, and in the Basque Country, in the Pyrenees Mountains, and the British Isles and Ireland. And what you see is, when you see a predominance of Rh negative blood factor, and you look at the Basque people, there's no accounting for this genetically, for the Basque language. This is all a great mystery of, so it's tied to Atlantis and also extraterrestrials. And so back in 2015, when I wrote Venus Rising, I have a whole chapter about that, about the negative blood factor, the additional vertebrae and different things in Rh negative people that account for a possible extraterrestrial connection there.
That's volume number 2, right? Your book.
Yeah, that's in the first one, and all these ideas
Oh, the first.
yeah,
Okay, guys, the first book, you got chock full information here. Yeah,
right. And all the other books, you know, they further develop the same, some of the same themes, but to a greater extent. So I have the second book is The Final Countdown, Rockets to Venus, about what we know, what we really know about Venus from space research, that I interviewed scientists about the truth that's going on. Then the third book is Cosmic Rays, Excellent Venus Adventure. That's my friend Dolores Barrios, who's now the Queen of Venus.
wow.
Then the third book is
There's so much information that you wrote down all these books. It's amazing.
this
Yeah.
is The Vast Venus Conspiracy.
Ooh,
We want to know about Venus, but we're afraid to ask, but that the 4 spacefaring governments of the world, Japan, the European Union, Russia, and the United States, really know about what's.
oh, wow. Well, we're going to have to do that talk on the next one then.
And this is Lady Columba, Venus Revelations.
Wow.
This was a famous contactee in the 1950s who, upon her death, and this is her own drawing about
Okay.
her DNA being taken from her body and a new body being created for her, and then her consciousness was reinfused into it. This has all of her drawings from the 1950s about
Wow.
her contacts with the Venusians, her encounter with her own oversoul, her love affair with a Russian cosmonaut.
Wow, that's fast. Guys, if you're listening on the podcast, not on YouTube, you know, you're just listening. Miss Dr. Ray show all these images from all his books. All you have to do is just grab his books on Amazon, you know, just look in the description under my link here, and then just go straight to the link and grab this book. It's so fascinating. Try the first one, because the first one already got so much information that's already fascinating to me, which I'm going to grab it right after this.
Well, thank you, Tina. I really appreciate that, and giving me the opportunity to present this information and to go over some of it with you and your audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much information that, I mean, I after you talk, I got so much more questions, but I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be hours and hours and hours of talk. You know, as you talk, more question comes in, and I'm sure a lot of listeners would have a lot of questions too. And if you have questions, please post the comments. What questions do you have for Dr. Raymond? Because, you know, I'll bring him back to answer some of your questions as well. Now, earlier you talk about the negative blood that could be linked to the ET bloodline. What about positive RH?
Oh, okay. Yes. Because, you know,
that would be my last question to you, because I know I'm going to take up all your time. But there's been a lot of question about that too. Yes.
The Rh negative blood is the highest concentration is in the Basque country between Spain and France in the Pyrenees Mountains, and so these are primarily those that escaped the destruction of Atlantis, and there were Venusian and Pleiades colonies there. But there are other spacefaring civilizations that that don't share those particular blood factors that are also among us. And of course, Paul Hellyer has said that there were 80 different species of extraterrestrials that are like humans, that they could walk. He said they could be walking the streets and you wouldn't even know it. So, I'm just associating the negative blood factor with the Venusians and the Pleiades, and there's been a lot of intermarriage, of course, over time with other humans and different nationalities of humans and national groups, and so that was those initial contingents that arrived from Atlantis were diluted and absorbed into the general population, but that doesn't mean that they're not there in one form or another.
I see. And what is your blood type? Do you know?
Mine is A negative.
Oh, so that's why you're a Venusian. Yes. So I would assume that
they also have an additional tear duct and an extra vertebrae.
Oh, really? Okay, I heard of that too, but I wasn't sure if that's the fact. I have actually met some people that they say they have extra vertebrae.
Oh, yes. And that's primarily among people with a negative blood type.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating. Wow, Ray, amazing talk. I mean, like so much information that you share, which is fascinating. You got me like glued to my ears trying to love for you to come back again. Guys, I'm sure that many of you are going to want him to come back and share some of this information, but do not forget to just go to my link, go to Amazon and grab at least his first book and find out more, even find out about where you come from, your star seed, like what he said, which kind of makes sense to me, that this is your last incarnation. That's why you have so much interest in finding out where you're from and which star system you are coming from. And that's kind of fascinating, to find this out. And Ray,
also,
yes.
a lot of my articles are published on Rob Potter's thepromiserevealed.com, and I write a weekly column for Lon Strickler's phantomsandmonsters.com as well, examining cryptids and UFO phenomena from around the world.
Wow. Ray, can you kindly just email me all those information so the listener can actually, I don't want to forget anything that's important for them to take away with, and they can go and check you out and listen to the podcast or whatever newsletters that you have written, and benefit to them so they can learn and do research on themselves. So yeah, please do send that to me, and I'll post it on across platform.
Oh, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Last word or any advice for all the star seed or anything that you feel like, you would like to share with the audience?
Okay, well, we're here to be a light in the world, to be a beacon of hope for our fellow beings. Yes, we do live in times of tribulation, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's you.
That's beautiful. Actually, the light at the end of the tunnel, that's actually beautiful what you said. I love that. And love for you to come back and talk about one of your book, Conspiracy with the Government, because that been like a hot topics too. If you wouldn't mind come and talk about that.
Oh, yes, I would definitely like to do that. And of course, the most recent one, Flying Saucers from Venus, They Come.
Ooh.
Has all about the origins of the true space program, the anti-gravity research that was taking place in the 1950s, especially 1955, with all the scientists from other countries coming here and working under contracts by the American government with American corporations to develop the G ships so that we could imitate the Venusian spaceships from a crashed saucer at Aztec, New Mexico. Yeah, it's all in here.
Wow. Awesome.
I'll be very happy to talk about it.
Love that. I got a lot of questions coming for you, Ray. With that talk, that's a lot. So cool. Well, thank you so much, Ray, for being here. Guys, thank you so much for, listening until the end of this video. Please do not forget to subscribe, click like, and please share this video with your friends, your family, or in social media if you feel like can benefit to anyone who have interest. Follow me on all my platform. I have, I'm on my podcast as well. Amazon, Spotify, Apple, and Rumble, and just many platforms. Just go ahead and follow me. It's under my bio or about us on YouTube. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful time until next video. Ray, thank you. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. And we'll schedule your time for the next talk. Conspiracy.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Tina.
so
Much
much.
appreciated.
Much appreciated to you as well.